Do you have anything? Oh,
Named GP Hustla, which honestly, just for that name, you're never going to become a 24/7 streamer. But this guy has been streaming for over 1,100 hours at this point. He has been streaming
that's
nonstop
insane.
without turning off his computer or his stream since August. And in fact, the when you watch a Twitch stream, it tells you the duration at the bottom. Apparently, that resets every 48 hours, and he found that out.
He
So
does have.
he has his own counter on his
I was
stream
gonna
about
say.
how long he's been streaming. Yeah. Even it says even when he goes to run errands and stuff, he takes the stream with him. When he sleeps, he I guess I don't know what I guess he decategorizes the stream so that he can sleep on the stream and keep it going. And he's kept it going. And apparently it's gotten to the point where it's kind of become a rush for him, so he wants to keep it going, and he wants to apparently break the official Guinness Book of World Records for consecutive streams. Before this, the longest stream was only 200 hours, and this dude's at 1,100.
So
I don't know how legit that is because nobody's ever heard of this dude, and he only has a very small community watching him. But it's interesting.
I'm assuming. At first, I thought he was doing like a social experiment, but you said he might be working to break a Guinness Book World Record.
I mean, the article says he would have to start that in January, and the official world record is only 161 hours. So I'm assuming that's because somebody officially from Guinness has to like watch it for the whole time and make sure he does it. So that's probably why.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So I don't know if he'll keep the stream going until then. He might try, but you know, there's got to be some stuff that forces you to turn a stream off eventually. I mean, I don't know. Get a girlfriend, man.
Maybe that's what he's hoping for. He's putting all his dirty laundry out there for the world to see, and the girl, if she loves him, will love him for who he is because she now knows everything.
She won't. She won't. They never do. They never do. All right. Anyway, that was just our intro. Just a weird little Twitch fact for you. Let's jump into the first topic, which is going to be Rogue Company. We like Rogue Company. Anthony likes Rogue Company.
I sure do.
And the game has officially gone free to play, which is very cool. We've both been playing it, Anthony a little bit more than me, but it's been super fun. And it was pretty easy to get a free code before. You didn't have to pay for it before. But I don't know why they were charging anyway, because it was always their intention to go free to play. Just like pretty much everything Hi-Rez has ever made is free to play. So now if you didn't have a code and you didn't want to pay the $15 or whatever it was to play it before, now you can just go download it for free and start playing, which is cool.
That's on everything, consoles and PC.
Yep.
A friend of mine, or a member of Rogue Company, he verified it's available on the Xbox Marketplace. You can either get a access code straight from Rogue Company's website, or you can go to Epic Games if you're on PC or your console's game store and download it from there. But before I get into it real quick, those of you who's joining us in my stream and YouTube, I apologize there was no audio in the beginning of this podcast because somebody forgot to add his audio sources. So,
Idiot.
On International Podcast Day, I messed it up.
Yeah. Way to ruin International Podcast Day for all of us. We're all sad.
Yes, we are. I had my chance for an intro. I blew it because I'm an idiot. So I'm just gonna get into the Rogue Company article or topic, and I just want to throw that out there for those who will be seeing this on YouTube and Twitch. Be like, why is there no audio? Well, yeah. Anyway, or why did it start weird? But anyway, Rogue Company. I'm super excited about this because that means a lot more people are going to be able to play. I think I'm not sure why, like JD said, why Hi-Rez opted to have people pay for it during the closed beta when they were literally giving out codes like candy. Though it had slowed down because it got to the point I had people asking me if I had a code available that they haven't been able to find one because they wanted to play. So they slowed down just before going open, and they were getting more traction. I think at least I got a lot more requests from people within Regiment and people within my stream asking if I had a code for Rogue Company, which I didn't. I could not figure out how to enable drops on my stream. I would have loved to, because a lot of people were looking for it, but it didn't work out. But it did work because I know several people who paid for the game, either because they were really wanted to play, or they were really lured in by the special skins. And you got, like, depending on the tier you bought, you got 1 free rogue, 2 free rogues, or something like that. So,
Right.
and then you got some skins.
Right. Like, I mean, for people that are getting it for free, like any Smite game, you're gonna have to pay for the characters or play a long time to unlock them, right? So,
with
people are still ending up gonna pay that price.
They are, and honestly,
lazy.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that people have to play a long time to start unlocking more gods in Smite, because one of the biggest complaints, I meant to mention this to you earlier when you brought up Rogue Company going open beta, because I went to look at it immediately when you told me about it, and mentioned they also have a new rogue, which we'll get into in a little bit. A lot of people are complaining right now because all the rogues are now at 15,000 in whatever the money system is.
Really?
Yes,
they
all
bumped
got
them all up to 15. That takes forever.
It does, and I know it does, because JD played quite a bit. I played more than him. I finally got 15,000, and I bought Glitch because, like, well, there's only 2 expensive ones. It was Vi and Glitch. I was like, I'm gonna get the 2 most expensive, and then buy all the cheap ones. I think the cheapest was 5,000, and it was 10, and then it was 15. Well, that's gone now. They're all 15, and I'd never bought the cheap ones, so I should have probably just bought 3 5,000 rogues with my 15. I didn't think they were gonna do that, because in Smite, all the gods are varied in prices, aren't they? Depending on their tiers and difficulty.
The gods, I think, vary in Smite gems, but I think for favor, all the gods are the same.
Okay, it's been a while since I played Smite.
Or it's the other way around. It's all the gods are the same Smite gems, but they vary in different favor. I don't know. It's been a while since I've done that too. But yeah, that sucks that they've changed the price on the rogues, especially after having them cheaper and then making them more expensive. And I mean, I unlocked my Scorch at 5,000, so suck it, nerds.
Did I get Scorch? Yeah, I grabbed Scorch too. So I was able to get Glitch and Scorch before it went up. And Scorch, well, was the most broken rogue. But when we get into Dhalia, the new Dhalia, the new rogue, I have not seen her yet. I just found out about her today, along with the prices for the rogues, which I think that's one of the reasons why is everybody upset. 1, because it went up in price, and 2, I guess Hi-Rez didn't let anybody know that they were about to get bumped in price, which that's not entirely cool. I mean, it's not a huge
Hi-Rez
deal.
is really bad at stuff like that, though. Hi-Rez is like notoriously bad at communicating that kind of stuff.
So a lot of people
always been a problem.
Yeah, so I guess it's not entirely shocking. I mean, I played a lot of Smite back in the day with JD, but he was more involved with Hi-Rez and stuff like that. Like, he kept track and still keeps tabs more than I do. So he would know things like that better. I know some of Hi-Rez's poor practices, but not as much as JD does.
Yeah.
But like I said,
I mean, maybe they'll be better. Maybe they'll get better, but that's kind of silly to raise the prices and not even announce it, not even give people like 3 days or something. Be like, hey, we're about to raise the prices.
So if there's a rogue you want, you might as well buy it as soon as you get the currency and not hold up.
And that's why they don't do it, because if you had that currency to spend, you would have spent it, and now they're getting you to spend more, right? They're getting you to,
that's true.
They're scummy that way sometimes with Hi-Rez.
Capitalistic society, it's how it works.
Hi, buddy. Oh no.
I think JD's son just got home. Hey, Jean-Luc, how you doing, bud? Well, he can't hear me, and I'm saying hi to him. Yeah. He's getting big.
No, you can't get up, bud. Can't get up. Okay. All right. I guess he's joining the podcast.
We have a guest.
Hello.
For International Podcast Day, we have a guest host. It's Jean-Luc.
Yeah.
Jean-Luc, what's your thoughts on Rogue Company and them upping the prices to the rogues?
Say, shut up, Anthony. Funny movie.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so let's talk about the new rogue Dahlia.
Yeah.
I know you said you haven't seen her. I watched some people playing her on Twitch today. She's kind of nuts. She's got some really complex features. One of the things she has is a new SMG called, I want to say, Objector, and it's really fast. Like the fire rate on that thing is super quick. So it's super short range though too, because it spreads like a shotgun basically.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you get somebody around a corner and they're basically dead if you have your SMG and they don't have anything that can counter it.
And this game is mainly close range. I mean, yeah, you got some long range
Right.
moments, but there's some maps that there's
No, you can't press the buttons, but
literally no. It's literally nothing but short range. With the regular like the thing. So I'll have to see this, but from what it sounds like, Scorch's SMG still may be more overpowered than Dahlia's on the fact that she does have more range with it, as opposed to the Dahlia's, or yeah, as opposed to Dahlia's, who sounds like you have to be closer to do damage. I mean, obviously, I'm sure players, if they play her well, can still pick people off with the SMG. What's her other weapon? Because I know the SMG is the one you focused on. Is it?
yeah,
Is it?
I didn't see the other weapon, but I'm assuming it's some sort of medium to long range kind of DMR or something like that. That's usually the alternate. Um, but
I
yeah,
don't know.
that SMG is crazy. I think probably only Scorch can compete in terms of um, time to kill with that thing. But she also has very unique passive and ability. Her ability lets her link to another rogue, and you can pick the rogue at the beginning of the round, and you get to pick one each round. When you're linked to that rogue, if you're within 30 meters of them when they go down, they will automatically revive, and you can actually get perks that make it faster. So it's a really fast revive, and she doesn't have to manually trigger it or stand over them like you do for normal revive. She just has to be within 30 meters of them. And the other thing is her passive is called the buddy system. So as long as she's linked to somebody, she gets to use parts of their passive. And one example of this that was interesting to me was Dallas, because Dallas's passive is the scanning thing that lets him see through walls, and he can recharge his passive by downing enemies. So if you have linked with Dallas, you can also recharge your passive to revive people by downing enemies. So you could potentially revive more than one person in a round by using that passive. So that's very interesting.
This to me is both cool and slightly annoying sounding because, and the reason why I say that is, Dahlia sounds like the most complex rogue right now. I have not played all the rogues. I vaguely know all their abilities. I've been maining Anvil and Dima. And I have played a little bit of Dallas. I did do crap. What's the medic's name? I can't remember his name. Saint. Yes, I've done some Saint. So I know I'm familiar with their abilities and passes and stuff, but it sounds like Dahlia brings more to the table for their abilities and passives and equipment and stuff.
I don't know that she brings more because she does have to be selective, right? She can't just like switch who she's linked with. Once she's linked with them, she's linked until everybody's dead, basically.
Yeah, but
Um,
if you get a good comp, which is like always the big thing in Smite, you have to have a good team
right.
and a good comp to dominate. They're gonna always know who to link with, and so like if you're talking about Demolition, it's the best out of 7 match, no respawn. Okay, so they lost the first match based off the other team's comp, and they're like, okay, so I'm not gonna link with you anymore. It sounds with their comp and their play tactics, I'm gonna link with you the next round, and they can adapt per round. Now, yeah, it's gonna be a little more difficult because we, JD and I, before the episode started, we mentioned Aphrodite in Smite. She links up with different gods, and she can give them damage buff. No, I'm thinking of Hell. Does damage buff and heal, or is that?
I don't know what you're talking about. When Aphrodite links with somebody, she gives them mana and movement speed, and she can heal them.
Yeah. So it sounds like though the only thing Dahlia offers, from what we've heard and read so far to other players, is she can revive them if they're close enough. It's good. It's another healer for Saint's ability, and then she can kind of sort of leech off the other player that she's linked up with for her passives. So if she wants to be able to revive more often, she can link up with Dallas, like JD said, and every time she downs somebody, get her ability to reset faster. And then she's going to also have a passive that allows her revive, like JD said already, to revive faster, which Saint also has that passive. I wonder if you can double dip. If she linked up to Saint?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I forget what Saint's passive is. But yeah, I've been sitting here thinking about other passives. Like, what if she links up to Shock? Does she get to revive herself? Like Shock
Are you talking
does? Because
about?
that's his passive, right? No, that's his
No,
ability.
that's his ability. It's
What's
his
Shock's
ability.
passive? I don't know. I don't know the passives. I'm not familiar enough with the passives to be able to talk about the complications with Dahlia. But that's still, it's an um
Possibility.
interesting prospect. Yeah. So we'll have to see how she pans out. She's very close range. I don't know about her alternate weapon, but I don't think many people are going to use it. That SMG is really powerful, but it makes her a really close range attacker. So
Yeah.
so
And
she definitely has her limitations, but she definitely has some complexity to her too.
she also sounds like she's a lot more used. And one of my biggest complaints is with the rogues, and maybe this is my fault from coming from a game like Smite from high res, where every god has a specific purpose and they're built to fill that purposes. Some will have multiple purposes. Like I know JD's mentioned a couple. They can play jungle, they can play solo, they could like depending on how you build them and all that. And again, this might be my fault for expecting this in Rogue Company. Because was Smite High Res's first game, or at least first big game that actually? No, it's not.
I mean, Smite was their most successful game, but they also did the Tribes series. That was also kind of a cult classic kind of game.
Okay. Well, one of my biggest complaints, it's mainly, and I don't know if I know people say if you're complaining, it's your biggest complaint, why do you keep playing him? Is like somebody like Anvil, he's slotted as a tank. However, everybody can buy the extra armor like he does, so it's not a huge deal. And I'll have to double check. I actually haven't paid attention. I think he's got the same health value as everybody else as well. And the only thing that really makes him the tank is the fact that he has ability you can buy, or I don't know if it's really an ability, a passive or whatever, that makes him take less damage from explosives, and then he can pop his shield. Well, that shield is useless because he can only do it once per match. And then once you put it down, it's done. And if you put it poorly or the team rotates, you can't do anything else after that. And apparently the shield, I found out recently the hard way, you can still shoot through the glass. You just take less damage. And eventually the glass will break before the rest of the shield, and then you have nothing to protect you at all. I guess maybe I might be expecting too much as Anvil's to be like the tank of the game, but he doesn't really seem tanky to me. He seems like he goes down just as quick as anybody else. The only thing that really may make him feel like a tank is the fact that he can put a mobile shield down, which I've learned to not really just use. I've used it to the main thing I've been using his shield for is to area denial. In areas where the shield will literally block off an entire alley, like if we're trying to take an objective, I do that so it gives the enemy team, they had the option for 3 places to attack us from. Now they're forced to go to 2 because they denied that that passage. I mean, they can still destroy it, but if they're trying to get there quickly, because like on Demolition, there's a couple times I've done it where the bomb was about to go off and they had to get there quick, so they didn't have time to destroy the shield. They had to go the other 2 ways. And if all of my team is alive, that's 2 people watching 2 ways instead of having to watch 3. So it makes it easier to stop the enemy team. And the other one is obviously somebody goes down, I pop the shield if they went down in the open, and I can pop the shield to give me cover while I revive them. But again, it might be me expecting too much from Rogue Company because I'm thinking more along the Smite because that's my most familiar game from high res and how that game is. And maybe me just being bitter about Anvil, but Dhalia seems to me personally, I'll have to play her and look more into her. It's gonna be a while because now everything's 15,000.
Yeah,
but she appears to be the most complex. All the other rogues do decently well as well, but hey, we'll see. I'm still liking this game. I'm excited about it. JD likes the main Smite. He can get very competitive with this. Is not a bad thing. I'm not saying this is a down thing on him. he likes being competitive in Smite, but he does like playing with friends and having a good time. I kind of want Rogue Company to be that game for me. That when I get competitive when I want to actually be good at it, not just a casual game to play at, but also if friends hop on with me, I can just play to have a good time and not really be super worried about wins. I mean, I'm competitive by nature. I'm always gonna be deep down upset when I lose, but maybe the amount of upset will be decreased when I'm just trying to have a good time, as opposed to when
Yeah.
I get sweaty. So,
I mean, the nice thing about Rogue is that the matches are a lot more casual. Like a
Mhm.
match doesn't have to last very long, and you
No,
can
they're
just move on to
super
the next
quick.
one. Yeah.
They are
So
very
yeah,
quick,
it's definitely a little more.
casual.
Yeah, I guess casual is the only word that really describes it. But yeah, so yeah, I can understand that, and I like Rogue Company too. I haven't played it much recently, but as far as shooters go, it's probably the most fun I've had on a shooter in a long time. So
I think that's another reason why I like it so much. I mean, it's not an FPS, but I've tried, like, I don't know if it's my old age or I just don't game as much, so I've lost practice, but I cannot enjoy shooters as much. The only other
yeah,
shooter I can somewhat enjoy right now is Hell Let Loose, but even then I have to play in doses. I can't. Rogue Company is the only shooter I've been able to play consistently. I tried Valorant. I played maybe 2 matches, like, nope, not for me, and moved on. Which is, it
yeah,
doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's just, it wasn't for me. So,
sure. All right, let's move on. We've been on this for a while.
yeah, we have.
The next topic we're going to talk about Twitch Soundtrack. It's a brand new feature from Twitch. It's just debuting today, so I'm not even sure if everybody can sign up for it. It might be a limited thing. But anyway, let's talk about what it is. Twitch Soundtrack is
Mm.
very interesting. I just read the article literally right before this podcast started, so I'm not going to get all the details right. But it sounds interesting enough that I want to install it. So if you haven't listened to our podcast, a couple of episodes ago, we talked about how Twitch is getting in trouble with music companies. DMCA's have been hitting a lot of Twitch streamers, and there was a period there where Twitch streamers were struggling to go back through their old videos and delete them all if they had music in them because they were getting copyright strikes. And if you get enough copyright strikes, you
You're
get
done.
your channel banned. Yeah. So this has been a problem with Twitch for a while now. They've been in talks with the music industry for like 2 years, and they've been trying to come up with new tools to help streamers play music without getting in trouble. And this sounds like the first real one that's doing that. So, one of the things that this does that's really, really cool, first of all, this is a separate application that interfaces with your streaming stuff, right? So, you will add this to OBS or Streamlabs or whatever you're using to stream. And then what this does is separates the music that you're playing from the rest of your audio, which is honestly really cool
Mm.
just by itself because it means that you have different tracks for your in-game, your mic, and your music now instead of combining it all together, which is what people usually do because it's easier. Um, so this is going to separate that music, and what happens is you'll go live with your stream, and you'll play some music, and you'll play some games, and you'll talk to your chat, and then when the VOD saves after you close down the stream, it doesn't save the music with everything else.
That's actually really
So
cool.
that's really cool, right?
Yeah.
So you have this music, you can play it live, it's fun, you have a good time, and then you're not going to get any copyright strikes on your VOD because it doesn't have the music attached with it because it was saved in this soundtrack area, which is really, really neat. Of course, I think one of the main limitations of this is that at least for now, the music's going to be pretty limited.
Yeah.
The music that goes through soundtrack, but they've already been talking to different platforms and different musicians. They have so they're getting like SoundCloud involved. They're getting DistroKid. They've got some other indie favorites and stuff like that. They're gonna have playlists up for different moods of music that you want to play, and I think this will keep getting bigger, obviously, as time goes on. But at least now you have a source for music that you can play at any time. This is all copyright stuff. So if you go into soundtrack or copyright free stuff, sorry. So if you go into soundtrack and you're looking for something, everything in there that you can access, you can play on your stream, which is awesome. And of course,
Well,
it'll do the separation thing.
you mentioned the fact that it doesn't put in the VOD, and actually, to me, that's a huge deal because right now I've been using something through Spotify, which is I got 2 different artists that have allowed people to play their music. They're indie artists and they're mostly instrumental. They don't have vocals. Um, so that way, I excuse me, I cannot get hit with copy strikes because they've given everybody permission. The only downside is I'm cheap. I don't pay for Spotify, so I get random commercials that pop up in the middle of my stream, which can be irritating. But at the same time, I'm still able, like, if I want to clip part of my VOD and save it into my my VODs on Twitch, I won't get a copyright strike. But what JD's saying, I will now be able to clip my videos and not worry about the music popping up in the stream and getting hit with a copyright strike. Now, lucky for me, I'm small enough that I had the same issue. I had to go through a lot of my old VODs to delete videos that had music in it. But I'm a smaller streamer, so I wasn't super worried. I had a lot more time to go through my VODs than most people did. Delete these clips before I got hit with something. But another thing that JD said that stood out to me, and because I've had to do a lot of backdoor kind of magician whatever stuff to my stream to allow me to have multiple audio sources on my stream, one from my mic. Right now, well, not right now is not a good example because I'm in the podcast and I only really need 2 audio sources for the podcast. But when I'm streaming, you may hear music playing and then you hear the game audio and you hear me talking. Well, the music is on its own audio. The game and my Discord audio is on another audio source, and my mic has did that. And I did that with a third-party app called Voice Meter Banana. And it makes like a fake audio source for my computer to detect, and I can split them any way I want. And it's been allowing me to do something called ducking. So when I have music playing, it automatically lowers the volume on the music every time I speak. So I don't have to have people worry about saying, hey, the music's louder than you. I can't hear you. Well, if with Twitch, the Twitch soundtracks, JD says is going to add another audio source to add to your stream. So you can probably duck that as well. So if you got music playing while you're streaming, you can have it lower immediately the moment you speak, and you can set it to where it's like an abrupt lower or it's a gradual lower, so it kind of sounds like you're doing your own radio show, and as the DJ speaks the music slowly fades out. You can set it up to do things like that, or like if you're playing a game and you end up in an intense moment where the audio in the game is loud but you don't want the music to take away from what's happening in the game, you can have it so when the game hits a certain decibel limit the music starts lowering, so the game is louder than the music. So with Twitch soundtrack adding this second audio source for those who don't want to mess around with VDV, something like Voice Meter. This Voice Meter, it's not really complicated, but it can be a pain in the butt if you don't know what you're doing. And like I recently, because the reason why my audio was messed up at the beginning of the stream, I had to unplug my headset because this is the only headset I had to go play on my laptop, and it screwed up everything in my audio settings. And in order for me to reset it, I had to delete everything, VB audio, all my sources, and then start from scratch. So a third-party program can be a pain in the butt like that, but with Twitch soundtracks, it's hopefully, in theory, you shouldn't have to worry about like all the mess I had to do to get to what I have right now for my setup. So
yeah, that's a wonderful story.
You're welcome. I'm trying to help out other content creators.
You're doing great. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
So yeah, so that's a pretty cool feature that is just starting, right? So it's only going to get better. It's not. I don't think it's fully realized yet. There's definitely going to be some kinks in the beginning. Obviously, they're going to need more music, a lot more music, because right now it's mostly electronic and dance music. So hopefully that improves. But it still sounds really cool, and it sounds exactly like what we need as streamers. So at least Twitch is trying. Good job, Twitch.
Yeah, and at least they're looking out for the streamers, which a lot of people accuse Twitch of not doing, but it looks like they're actually, in this case, taking an effort to protect and help out the streamers. It may be a slow process, but hey, they're trying. A lot of people don't do that.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our final topic. We are going to talk about CyberPunk 2077.
This upsets me a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of crappy. So very recently, I think yesterday, CyberPunk announced to their developers that they are going to force their developers to work to do game crunch over the next few weeks while the game is getting to the point where it's going to ship out. and they are forcing them to work 6 days a week, so they have to pick a day on the weekend. Now they've said that they are going to compensate everybody who's working those extra days, but it is basically forced overtime. And this is something we have talked about on the show before. Game crunch is an epidemic in the game developing industry. Uh, Everybody does it, and some of them are a lot worse than others. I imagine Cyberpunk's probably on the positive side of how bad this stuff can get. Um, but the one of the big things about this is the Cyberpunk people, the CD Project Red is the company. They have said in the past, they even did an interview with a gaming site last year saying that they would never force overtime. They would never force crunch. They talked about how they have crunch, but they don't consider it obligatory. Which, first of all, let's talk about how stupid that is, because the idea of crunch is that you're working to finish a project. So who's the jackass developer that's going, "Oh, I'm not going to crunch today. I'm going to go home and eat dinner with my family," and then
Yeah.
everybody else is staying behind? Nobody's doing that. So just because they say it's not obligatory crunch doesn't mean it's not actually obligatory crunch. You know what I mean? It's like being
Mm.
voluntold.
Eh,
Anyway,
I'm glad you actually mentioned that, but I'll let you finish what you're saying then. I'll add to
yeah,
the voluntold thing.
yeah, uh, yeah. So that's already dumb. But then to come out now a year later and and I kind of want to say that I kind of get it, right? Because of COVID, a lot of things got messed up, a lot of things got pushed back, a lot of things got delayed, and they're trying to get this game out that's been delayed like 6 months at this point. So yeah, I get that there's some pressure to get this game out, and it's probably been something that they've worked on for years, so they wanted to get it just right. I get all that, but crunch sucks, and to say that you're not going to make it obligatory and then come out and make it obligatory is messed up. So it's really kind of sad. Hopefully these developers consider it worth it. A lot of them have already been doing crunch for months at this point, or years probably. And now it's just obligatory instead of the non-obligatory one.
Which is, I mean,
So
if you guys remember, we talked big about crunch when we mentioned
Anthem,
we were talking about Last of Us Part 2
Last
that
of Us Part 2, yeah,
by why did I forget the company's
Naughty
name?
Dog.
Naughty Dog. And then we went into Anthem because Anthem had some of the worst crunch in it recently. But the JD made a joke about voluntold. For those of you who are not military, voluntold is basically, hey, would you like to do this at a daycare? Would you like to read books to children at a daycare? No, not really. Well, good, because I signed you up for it. That's voluntold.
Yeah.
You're volunteering by being voluntold to do it. Now, the reason why I laughed is when JD told me about the story, the first thing I thought is like, man, I've had many days in my career where they're like, hey, you know how we said you can go home at 4 o'clock today and have your weekends? That's not happening anymore. You're staying to about 7, and we may let you have Sunday, but you're definitely coming in on Saturday. That has happened. I don't know how many times. And in the military, it's kind of hard to say no to that stuff. I don't know how CD Projekt Red is Swedish, Polish.
Yeah.
I don't know how Poland works. I don't know if they got unions to protect their workers and whatnot. So I don't know if the worker I would assume the worker would have a pretty easy ability to say, no, screw you, I'm going home. Whereas in the military, you can say that, but the consequences are pretty bad. But I'm mainly bringing that up because of the whole aspect of crunch and being overworked to accomplish something. Yeah, you achieved your goal, but what has that done to your employer or employee in the long run? Even if you think this is a one-time thing, they always promise you this is going to be a one-time thing. And as
Right.
JD said, that he already said, we'll never do this obligatory. And now they're doing it. So,
Yep.
and I don't know how many times they're like, hey, this is only going to happen once. And then next thing you know, oh, by the way, next month we're doing this, but longer. Instead of 1 week, we're doing this for 2 weeks. So, and that takes a toll. Even if it's a here and there thing, that can take a toll on an employee real quick. And I can only imagine the employees of CD Projekt Red and what they're thinking right now. Now, from what I know, this is their only case of it so far, and hopefully it will be their only case. And as JD said, With COVID, it's kind of justifiable, and every game developer and console maker is all about releasing during the holidays. And November is just the beginning of the holidays and the big sales moments for gaming. So,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah, I mean it's it's hard not like I can empathize with what's happening. Like I get
yeah,
why they think they need it. But the problem is that this is a slippery slope, right? Because they force these guys to work this crunch and from the manager's perspective, from the top up perspective, what they see is a couple extra bugs got fixed, a little more polish was added and things look good. They don't really care about the welfare of the employee. So the next time the next game comes around, they remember to this one and they go, "Man, that crunch really worked. We did good job with that
mhm.
crunch. Let's do it
That's
again
yeah.
and double it." Yeah. So
And again, and
it's
the
tough.
only reason why I'm doing this too is one, JD's a veteran, I'm active, and our podcast is supposed to be about some non-political military news and pop culture and gaming. Um, and he said another thing that resonated pretty well. He goes, "Oh, we are only going to do this once. Oh wait, this actually worked really well. That has been an ongoing thing in my career as well. As like, hey, we need to cut back on people. Don't worry, it's temporary. We're gonna need you guys to work extra to make up for the amount of people we're gonna lose." Well, there was a period the military is like, holy crap, we're getting the job done with less people. How much more can we eliminate to get the job done and with less people? And that took a huge toll on us, and that's exactly what this could do. When these companies realize, look what our employees were able to accomplish in this short period of time when we made them do a little extra, see how further we can take it next time and how much more we can accomplish then. But then the issue, my biggest complaint about time crunch, not only or crunch culture, not only because of what it does to the employees, but to us as gamers, that's when games start getting faulty, defective, more mistakes are made because the company's more worried about rushing it out and achieving these goals. We all know EA fell the biggest victim to this. It sounds like Call of Duty is this? It's not Activision anymore for Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's
Activision.
Activision. They just own like Treyarch and those
Yeah,
other
Infinity
small ones.
Ward, and yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Activision is starting to slip down that same slippery slope because Warzone was glitchy and buggy as hell with so many vulnerabilities for cheaters. So this is why crunch culture is a big deal, and it's gonna be people are gonna probably be a little nervous because Cyberpunk has been a very much anticipated game, pretty much from announcement, and people have been waiting for this, and it's been delayed and delayed again. And I know people like me and JD were like, okay, we're upset that it's delayed, but we rather you polish it and make it look and function better than release a garbage product and be buggy and then fix it over time. But then when you start talking about how they delayed it, and now they're saying essentially saying we're not delaying anymore. We much rather overwork our employees to get it out on time,
Yeah.
and that's kind
Exactly.
of dangerous to me.
Yeah. It's scary.
What is
Yeah,
that
and
going to
that's
do the
go ahead.
I was gonna say, what is that gonna do to the game on release? Is there gonna be glitches and
Right.
bugs? So
Yeah. Yeah. Does that mean I mean they said they already shipped it for certification. So does that mean with these people working overtime that your game's incomplete, that it's
yeah,
crappy, that it's going to be crashing on us? I mean it's supposed to be a huge epic RPG like The Witcher 3 or Elder Scrolls. Um so, you know, it doesn't sit well with me
mm-mm.
either way from a consumer standpoint or from a, you know, I
Somebody's
want to
been
see
there.
these people spend time with their family standpoint.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
and, and
so
like JD said, this and the reason why that causes concerns about glitches and issues. It's a beautiful looking game. It looks incredible, and like he said, it's a massive RPG. So those two things are taxing for a video game, and if they're not done properly, are going to cause issues.
yeah,
And rushing things is when you start having mistakes. So
yeah,
I'm still excited
yeah,
about the game. I'll probably get it. I just hope they don't abuse their employees too much, and I hope that the game is a most. I would like near perfect polish, but that's rare these days in gaming. But at least they've done their due diligence to make sure this game is as polished as it can be before release.
sure. All right, and that is it for our topics today.
Hmm.
That's a good round of stuff to talk about. We went through it as fast as we could to not drag this podcast on forever. Do you have anything for the outro?
I actually did. It is kind of go back to Rogue Company real quick. Rogue Mastery has also been added. I know those who are familiar with games like Smite and League of Legends, there's mastery for your gods. Um, I I'm gonna just add the link to it, but for those of you who are looking about that, if you main a rogue and you wanted to be best in that rogue, you can show it off to the rest of the world when you play. It's now available for you to master it.
Cool.
There's different talking points about the mastery, but like JD said, we're trying to keep the podcast as close to 30 minutes as possible. So I'll just link it in the description of the video, and I'll give it to JD. So if he wants to put it in the podcast, he can show you the mastery list. They also added custom matches. I completely forgot about that, and it's actually a big deal. It allowed me to do my first community game night through Regiment, and I know it's something that people have been asking for a while. Especially if people start doing this as pro, it allows them to be able to practice with their teams. So that's a big deal. And I know
Sure.
High Res likes to be have competitive gaming as a focus of their
Oh yeah,
games.
esports is going to be a huge for them. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, that's great.
So
All right.
that's
Oh, go ahead. You had more?
and I was going to just say this is a patch notes release, and I like I said, I'll just say I'm going to probably tweet about it on Twitter, and then I'll include it in the description. There's actually a lot to read in here. They did a lot in the last update, so
Cool. If you ever want to get in contact with us, you can always check out our Twitter handles in the description of every episode. You can also use hashtag NTWP on Twitter. You can use that with a link that you think we'd like to discuss, or use it with artwork that you made, or whatever floats your boat. And you can also join our Discord. I keep a Discord link in every episode now. We have a channel where I post links to all the topics that we've talked about. So we'll have the Rogue Company patch notes, and we'll have a link to the Cyberpunk 2077 story and things like that. So you can keep up with us when we are talking about these things and you are listening to it. But other than that, I don't think we have anything else. Do you have anything else?
nope. Just I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. I promise that my audio won't be messed up at the beginning of the podcast next time because I've already fixed it.
Hooray! All
But
right, we'll see you guys next week for episode 29.
have a good night, everybody.
Bye bye.